Hey, everybody, welcome back to Drop a Line. It is I, your host, Alec, welcoming you to the first Drop a Line stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We are streaming on Twitch for the very first time. I could not be more excited. And tonight, we have a very special guest, a very talented author who has repeatedly been one of our guests on live readings, submitting her work very graciously, and is also a fellow co-worker at my previous day job, Atlantic County Special Services Facility. So I'm very, very excited to have her on tonight. And we are live tonight with Nancy Ann. So we'll go ahead and bring her on. Nancy, hello, welcome. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
I'm nervous, but
it's a pleasure to have you. I think we got hooked in via Sharon. Sharon has been telling me for literally, I think for, with COVID-19 and quarantine all factored in, I think Sharon has been trying to get you onto the show for
I think
something like half a year.
Services when the year you came in, so I think we passed each other.
Oh yeah. It's a big place, isn't it? I'm always
I was always in one area, so I didn't really get to know any of the other people.
Yeah, and I'm always finding, and I was always running around because I was a personal aide, so I'm always bumping into people where I'm like, you know me? Oh yeah, I did see you that one day.
Yeah, I had one student for many years, so.
Right. But thank you so much for joining us on the show. I really appreciate all the contributions you've made to live readings. Have you been enjoying the live readings streams when you've been able to see them?
Yeah, and it's really, it's just amazing listening to somebody read your poem, because usually I'm not, I write them, but I'm not presenting them. And so listening to them gives you a different perspective of the poem.
Absolutely. And you bring up such a great point. It really is it's a myriad of different skills, writing, public speaking, live reading, slam poetry. I mean, these are all specific skill sets, and it can be tough to really try to fire out of every cylinder.
Oh yeah, I teach my students. We participate in Poetry Out Loud. And,
I love it.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's somebody else's poem, but then we also write our own and present them, and that's a big challenge.
Absolutely. I participated in Poetry Out Loud when I was in high school, back in, I think that was the 2009-2010 school year.
Oh, now you're making me feel old.
No, that's not how I meant it. I just thought it's great to hear that the contest is still going on,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's good. We've done it for about 3 or 4 years.
That's amazing. How do your students do? Do they enjoy it? Yeah.
They love it. Usually we have a contest in school, and there's about 5 to 6 who participate. And then we have an in-school contest, and we haven't had anybody go further than regionals, but they enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. It can be a daunting challenge, but it really is just so stimulating and rewarding when you just.
I think I was more nervous than they were.
Absolutely.
And making sure and trying to, because when you're in the auditorium, the lights are on and they can't see you. And all of us had heard them do the poems so much that we knew the poems, and we wanted to mouth the words to him when they got stuck, but they couldn't see us.
Oh, that's the worst. I can definitely empathize. I know from just the 2 years I was there, being invested in a couple of the classrooms I was in, and just really being invested in what the kids were doing. I definitely remember some nail biting moments where I was like, oh, I wish I could jump in. Oh, if only, I can't watch this.
Yeah.
But they do a fantastic job, don't they? I mean, it really was, the kids at Special Services really just gave me such an education. They taught me so much.
I'm not there anymore, but that's because I moved on, and I'm an English teacher now. So and I was a personal aide there, so I just moved on. But I talked to a lot of the parents of the students that I used to work with still.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's good. I'm so glad. So again, thank you for joining us on the show. And you are an author.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So can you remind me real quick, how many books have you written?
It's kind of like crazy now, 6.
6.
But
Congratulations.
2 of them are poetry books. One, my first one is about my miscarriage, and that's what started writing.
Yeah.
Because I thought that it was a taboo topic that no one talked about, and a lot of women blamed themselves. And so I wanted to tell my story. So that was the first like actual book. And then now that I have kids, they wanted me to write children's books. So I'm working on one for my son Orion now, because everyone else had a book, so he wants one. So I wrote 2 children's books, The Adventures of Zelda and Foxy Roxy, and The Adventures of Dan and Bunny, because they wanted a book with their special animal.
All right. Well, you touch upon one of the primary challenges of a successful author, which is satisfying audience demand.
Yes. And then I just had a book come out today.
Congratulations.
I've been working on it for about 4 years. What's crazy is book 1 and 2 are already done. And it just took a while. But it's an actual novel, which is really exciting, because the other ones are smaller. This is an actual it's an actual book.
That is amazing.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. Do you want to tell us real quick the plot of your new book, or sorry, a brief synopsis?
Okay, yeah, it's a series. So so there was a great war in the past, and it's a fantasy. So there were fairies and vampires, and they were all fighting for control. And the fairy king wanted everyone to bow down to him. There's some reason for it later. And he wanted his children are very powerful, and there's 4 of them, and they're each like full-fledged fairies, and they each control an element, like fire, earth.
Awesome. And
there's a few characters that kind of make that hard for him to get the kids.
Okay.
And there is a vampire and a dark lord, he's called the Shadow King. And together they conspire against this woman named Maeve, and Maeve is the main character in this book. And they take her. She's a vampire.
Oh, I love that cover. Oh, it's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, she's well, I'm trying to think of the name of Covered Creatively. She's doing all my covers.
Wonderful.
They took her, they made her a vampire, and they didn't realize how connected she was to the Fairy King. So it's all connected, but I can't say how it's all connected yet.
Of course. Now they're going to have to read to find out more. If that sounds interesting to you folks, please do pick up Nancy Ann's book. The first book is titled Maeve.
Yeah, it's the Shadow Realm Chronicles. The first book is Maeve.
Maeve, yes.
And the second one will probably be out in a month or 2.
Ooh.
The third one is being edited, and I'm writing the 4th one. So.
All right. So everybody, if you are interested to hear how it all connects in the Shadow Realm Chronicles Maeve, please do pick up the book and give it a read. And by the way, please do leave Miss Nancy Ann a review if you happen to read the book and enjoy it. Reviews are what makes an author's career, so please do remember to do that. Nancy, I love, I really enjoyed the premise of your story, because you have a character who is made a vampire. She is taken and she is made something by the other characters in the story for a specific purpose, but they have no idea what they do by accident. because they don't know whether
that everyone is connected.
Uh-huh.
I mean, really, in this world, everyone is connected. You
Yep.
know, like we're both writers and we worked at the same school, but we didn't know each
Mhm.
other. But somebody knew us both,
Yeah.
and so everyone's really connected. And
See,
that's
that
what happens here.
yeah.
Is everyone's connected in this story somehow.
I love that because that not only does that really speak to reality, but it immediately inspires intrigue. Like I already want to know in my mind, how it all connects and what her connection is, and what that might mean for the characters who turned her, especially. And that definitely makes me want to go and pick up a copy. So if everybody is interested, please do go pick up a copy. And since we're on the subject, where can they find the book?
Right now it's on Amazon.
All right.
I just submitted it to Lulu also for paperback.
Ooh.
But Amazon is an ebook and a paperback.
Excellent. So there you have it, folks. If you are interested in reading more about the Shadow Realm Chronicles Maeve, definitely pick up your copy at Amazon. So Nancy, one of the things I love to talk to guests about on Drop a Line is what inspires the books, and what inspires you to do what you do. You spoke a little bit in the beginning about how you wanted to raise awareness with your first one. And
that was the first one.
Right, exactly. But kind of walk me through, like, what it seems like you really have an eclectic set of books on your hands.
Yeah.
Is the process
I'm actually working on a science fiction book, so
it's awesome. See, I love that. I love the variety of your ideas. Now, my question is do you find that each time you start a new project, it's a totally new experience with a whole new set of rules?
No. Like, okay. I mean, when I'm writing, well, what I first did is I would come up with all these ideas. And so I found a file. I just put a file together of all of the ideas I have. If I had a dream about an evil mermaid, because that's what I had, and I just wrote everything I could remember down. And then I would look back at it later and think about it. But when I actually have an idea in mind, I start from where it is in the beginning and where I want it to end. And then I just start outlining and outlining and outlining and outlining.
Absolutely. I have found that for some of the work I do, one series I've been working on for the past 10 years, it really does sometimes come down to a lot of outlining. And
I mean, my first book was 10, it started 10 years. It started I wrote it after my first daughter was born. And it's dedicated to her, and she's 10 now. And I started writing it after she, Maeve took 4 years. And I don't know how people, my book is only it's about 250 pages or so. And I see some that I'm reading and they're 700 pages. And I'm like, how do you write 700 pages?
Oh yeah. Or the Game of Thrones books, where the minimum, I believe, was an 800-page book, and most of them clock over 1,000 pages.
I know, and it's so cool because he's from my hometown.
Is he really?
His hometown is my hometown.
How about that?
I need to meet him one day and be like, look.
You got to catch him if he comes back to town. You got to make sure you're
out.
I
don't live there anymore. He doesn't live there either, but
okay.
It's kind of cool that we're from the same hometown.
It is. Maybe when your books do very well and you become rich and famous, maybe the two of you can arrange a meetup at a community spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be neat.
That certainly would be neat, and I'm pulling for you. I'm
not sure if he has gone back to there, but we'll see. Yeah,
well, we'll have to make him an offer he can't refuse. They say in popular movies, but. But we definitely have that in common. It definitely comes down to a lot of outlining sometimes when you have one of the more involved concepts that you're really, especially when you have such a range of ideas. I come up with a lot of different ideas in different genres myself, and I find that you really can't keep that all straight unless you're really in the habit of doing a lot of note taking,
And with teaching writing, I use J.K. Rowling has this paper,
Mhm.
and it's an outline of all the Harry Potter books and what has to happen at certain points to
Mm.
relate to something that happens later. And I always use that in class and say, okay, look, when you're planning out your paragraph or you're planning out your story, this is how organized you have to be. And
Mhm. Wow, I didn't even know that existed. That's amazing.
yeah, I saw it. It's pretty. She has it in all different colors and arrows.
How about that? That's amazing. You know, it's really cool. And this kind of leads me to my next question, but it's really cool that you're publishing these books and you're taking on these challenges and you're getting this experience, and that really must strengthen you as a teacher of English. You know, like how does that all come together in the classroom?
Well, I teach special ed.
Mm-hmm.
I teach behavioral
Mm-hmm.
students. So for them, it's more about showing them that you care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how it's going to work because sometimes they need a hug, and like I gotta say 6 feet. I can't
Yeah.
say 6 feet apart.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But the poetry books and writing poetry, I've shared with them some of the poems I read and some of the poems that I wrote. But I want to say we're not supposed to the poetry books are very personal. So I'm not. So there's like a line between teacher and student, and I'm like, the fiction book they can read no problem,
Mm-hmm.
whether they like it or not. But some of the other ones, you have to have a line.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
different.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. So this happens once per episode, but I always end up losing my train of thought at least one time. And whenever that happens, I ask the talent, do you have any questions for myself or the audience or comments?
Well, when I have writer's block, I used to, I read a book, Stephen King wrote a book called On Writing
Mm-hmm.
that I read. And it was about, he went and found a dark room where no one else was. And he sat there and just wrote and wrote and wrote until things started to make sense. So I started doing that. But I found role play helped me a lot. If I wanted to create a character, I would make all my characters from my books like OCs, which are original characters, and I'd stick them into different fandoms just to see how they would react to different things. And that's kind of how I brought myself out of writer's slumps. So what have you done to get yourself? Have you had writer slumps? I think we all have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, over the years, for me, it's been many changes in routine. Perfect example would be I used to do a lot of my writing at nighttime, and I would try to schedule my writing sessions. I call them sessions. I would try to schedule that on, say, a Thursday night or a Friday night or a Saturday where I could spend the whole day. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those would be just a set of days where I just had no focus. I have trouble focusing sometimes, and it would lead to some long days staring at a blank page because I had the time to do it, but I didn't quite have the focus for it. And then because that was my one day to do it, then I was getting anxious. Like
you were like, I have to get something done. I have to get this chapter done.
And I'm so glad you brought up Stephen King, because how I got out of that was he was speaking with George R.R. Martin on a panel, and George, who famously has taken a decade between his 5th and 6th installments of Game of Thrones, he asked Stephen King how he pumps out so many books. And I listened to Stephen King's response. He said, I write 6 pages a day. I just make sure I write 6 pages a day of something. And, I fit it in with all my daily chores, washing the dishes, taking out the garbage, write 6 pages. Doesn't really even matter what it is. And in time, that number grows and there's no writer's block because it's just something you expect to do by the end of each day. So I took that advice. I set myself 1,000 word, which is about 2.5 pages.
That's a lot of, what is it? Camp
NaNoWriMo.
I did that a couple of times.
Yeah.
It was like 2,000 words a day. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And some days I'd get like 6,000 words in a day.
Absolutely. So for a daily limit, I tried to set myself, something that seemed doable. And I got myself into the habit of just writing every day. And last year in particular, I found a lot of success when I moved from my evening routine to an early morning routine just before I left for school. I gave myself an extra hour in the morning, and having nothing to distract myself with, the car is ready, my lunch is packed, all that. There's literally nothing to do but sit there. That ended up being optimal focusing time because there was literally nothing to pull me away from it.
Definitely my problem is trying to fit it in because I don't know, you saw the kids walking behind me. I put the dogs away, and it gets a little chaotic, and sometimes I'm writing and then they need something and you can't just say, no, wait, I'm writing.
Right.
So then I stop and then I have to go back to. So I have to find now with this homeschooling, virtual schooling, whatever, I have to come up with a new plan. I used to write on my preps at work. If I had 30 minutes, I can sit and write at least 30 minutes a day. I knew I was writing. And then I would have my students journal for 5 minutes at the beginning of every class. And I took a notebook and I wrote with them to show, just to say, keep writing. It doesn't matter what. And I use Stephen King every year. I say, this is how you whatever's on your mind, put it down on paper. And so I would wind up writing an hour a day. But it's a little more difficult when there's kids at home and kids on the computer to teach and kids here to teach.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really do. I give you, I really do commend you for having all of these responsibilities in your life, but managing to write 6 books, that is no small feat. And
they're not thousands of pages.
No, but still.
The one, it took 40 years for 200 and what is like 230, 256. That took 4 years.
Yeah, I believe it. What would you say is the most? I had a question about you mentioned creating OCs and such, but before I get to that, I would say, what would you say is if you had to pick one distraction that most frequently comes up, what would that be?
Well, I would guess my kids, but I don't think they're distractions.
Sure.
But I would think when I'm writing and the computer's on, you need to close out Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff because it's like bing, bing, bing.
Oh, I can't stand. Absolutely.
That needs to be closed if you're doing a writer's sprint or something. So that's why a lot of times I write in a notebook.
Yes.
I write by hand and then I'll record it myself, into a recorder, and it will. I know you can do it on Messenger too. You can just record yourself into Messenger, and it types it for you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I don't. That way, I don't have to. I don't have to be on the computer to type. Though being home, I found out it is faster to type.
Yeah.
But there's more distractions. So if you just close everything out.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. I find that lately my biggest distraction has been social media. And the thing is, Andrew and I at One True Promotion now, and the whole team we have here now, we're really, we're a self-published firm. All of us are self-published writers or showmakers in some way. And we have to be online all the time to do our work. And we have to check all the platforms. We got to check Instagram. We got to check Facebook. We got to check Twitter. And I got to a point in my life last year where I was getting good at just setting down the phone, not checking the cyberspace.
It's cool, but I understand because I practice, we were talking about those OCs and things, and I practice on there, and then we have emails from schools, and so I can't be disconnected because so that's the difficult part, which is why I mainly write by hand.
It is. I think it is so cool though that you create character OCs and you did you say that you role play with other
other friends? No, well they are authors, but one of them is writing a book, but they're authors, but they don't Not sure if any of them have written a book.
See,
I know one is writing one.
Yeah.
One of my friends is writing one, but a lot of what we do, you could actually make it into a book.
Absolutely. And I know I've known people to do that and to even print and publish those exchanges as well. Can you walk us through a typical day of the role play OC process?
Well, so usually what you do is whatever group you're in, they'll have like guidelines. I admin my own group, so we created our guidelines because we didn't want, we'll say like Batman, right? Like a DC kind of thing. You don't want everybody related to Batman. So you have to come up with rules. But sometimes I'll have a character that I'm thinking about for a book. So I'll create them, and by creating them, you make their age, their height, their eye color, their likes and dislikes, how tall they are, how much they weigh, what happened to their parents, where are their parents, are they in good relationships with their parents, what do they like, what hobbies do they like, everything that you would want to know about a person if you're reading a book. So that even if you never mention that they don't like pizza or something, it's part of who they are already, even if you never mention it.
Right. That's clever. That's very clever. I think that, I love hearing about this stuff. Because, the background is great. I'm glad he's joining the show. But, I got a boring background back here. I gotta move this way. Okay, I got a little portrait back there. That's kind of exciting, right?
I got a kid jumping in the back.
Yours is much more exciting. But I always love to hear about these processes, especially since we're such social creatures, and oftentimes communicating or collaborating with another person. Like Andrew and I collaborate all the time. My girlfriend Carrie and I, we talk all the time and work together on some of the stories that I write.
We have a plot chat. And so we'll have our characters and we'll create stories together. And sometimes they're canon characters. So it's not like you can do something with a canon character from somebody else's work. Sure. But sometimes we make groups where they're just all our characters, and how do they interact? And
that's amazing. I really think that's so cool. It really speaks to what social creatures we are and how much we can really organize and put our ideas into context when we do so together as a group. I think that's super cool. And I'm glad it's
going to be a little nerdy, but
first of all, you're speaking to a lifelong nerd, and second of all, this is a nerdy platform. Yeah, so you're among friends here.
I wrote a book about vampires.
And third, nerds will one day rule the world. Everybody knows that. So I think we can definitely bolster the OC and role play world here. So. One thing I've been involved in over the years, a couple different times, are workshop groups. Have you had the pleasure?
I only did one with when the Novel Writers Month has their camps, and we did it through Discord.
Yes, I did the same thing. The last one I was in, we did it through Discord as well. Yeah. Toward the end.
And it was a writer's sprint, which I wasn't really, I had never done one before. And it's kind of weird because it's like they were talking on Discord. And I'm like, if this is a writer's sprint, we should be writing and then talking about what we write later.
Right.
But that's the last one I did was on Discord.
Yeah. So what would you say is, if you had, I'm not even checking the comment section. If you, if anybody, there
are comments.
There are comments. Yes. I'm so sorry. If anybody out there is enjoying the show, thank you so much for coming to Drop a Line. You are, please do leave us comments and ask us questions, either myself or Nancy. We would be happy to answer them. If you are watching on One Tree Promotions YouTube, please subscribe. And let people know about our YouTube channel. So, all right, let's see what we've got.
Commenting.
Yes. We've got Sean is
Yeah.
telling us so excited. Yeah, Nancy, quit being nervous. You're doing great. That's true. You are doing a fantastic job. There's no need to be nervous here. And get it today at Amazon is right. Definitely pick up Shadowrun Chronicles Maeve on Amazon if you haven't already. If you do it by the end of the show, we may even throw a special reward in for you. Andrew has a question. I also found reading or writing during those times with your students models the behaviors you want. If you want students to read for 10 minutes, then you read for 10 minutes with them, lead by example. Yes, absolutely. That's
I
absolutely.
usually can't read because I have to make sure they're not fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, behavior is tough.
Because they're different.
There as well.
But the writing, I can write and.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you, Nancy. I really do think you have some great experience in not only producing work and diverse, challenging work at that, but also experience with publishing. What would you say is the what's the best advice you could give to a young author who is trying to get started, isn't sure how to, and thinks that the whole thing is a little bit too overwhelming?
Well, I'll show you an example. The first thing, you should always get a. Some people rush. I rushed the first time. I rushed. If you look on the, Amazon for the Shadowrun Chronicles, you'll see that it was published 2 years ago, and I took it off because I rushed. So always order a author's copy, a proof, because you see, like, this is the first. Let me see if I can. And you see how, like, the Chronicles part got cut off on there. So then I was like, okay, I got to fix my book, and then I made, and then I made it better, and it's all on. So it's just, it's perfect, because sometimes those online views don't really show you. You have to order a proof all the time. I would make sure that you get an editor, because that's what happened. Is I rushed to get it out, and then I took it off, and I realized I had a lot of work to do on this book. So I found an editor, and just when you look for editors, usually what I did is I went to a group on Facebook, and I said, I'm looking for an editor, and I had a bunch of people, say I'm an editor, and I got them to send me, I sent them a chapter, and they showed me what they could do. So just find someone that suits your needs. I feel like everyone needs an editor, even if, I'm an English teacher. You need an editor, because seeing your own work is different than seeing someone reading someone else's.
Absolutely.
You can read the same story over and over again, and I know how it's supposed to sound, but it might not sound that way in the book.
Right. Absolutely. And how would you say an individual author, especially one that's just starting out, how would you say they can know what their needs are?
Well, I went. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and I went to I joined a couple of Facebook groups. I read all the advice on there from other authors, and basically they say take your time. Your first draft, don't look at your first draft and get discouraged, because your first draft isn't going to be great. No one's first draft is good. Keep going over it, keep editing it, get beta readers, get an editor. When you get into cover, the cover is the first thing anyone sees. So I went to a website, Book Cover Designers, I think, and I went through to find a vampire, and I found this picture. So I bought it from the author, and then and it's covered. I have to look up her name, but then as I started writing more, I went to her to make the other covers. So she's going to make all the covers because I wanted them all to look similar. So basically keeping things in uniform.
Hmm. Absolutely. You guys talking about focus really struck a chord with me. I admire authors like the both of you. I don't think I could ever focus long enough to actually write something of
He's
worth.
lying. He's lying.
And you know, it really, me personally, I've had a lot of people say that to me, that they don't feel they could write something of worth, or they don't feel like they could ever find the time to do it. And that always breaks my heart when I hear that, because I've had those thoughts and I've had the experience of pushing through them.
He's a
And
great writer, though.
I know, right?
Lying.
And but people really do say that to you, and
Yeah.
that's kind of why I like to do this show, and I enjoy shows like this, because people can really be stimulated by just seeing a couple people get together and say, "Hey, here's how we did it."
Yeah, I mean that's like when I'm feel like when I'm in like a rut, I might start role playing a character I never role played before, and it just give me an idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Andrew says, I myself shamed myself, never thought I could publish. I hid from it for years. And Andrew is currently celebrating not only the release of his first book, The Sanguinary Song, but he's about to sell his 100th copy any day now. Oh, wow, is right. He is a machine. I don't know how he does it. But Andrew, congratulations again. And yeah, another example of a person who, never thought the dream would be real. But here we are to see things through, as they say. You said something earlier that got me thinking. I loved what you said about the first draft. I think that is excellent advice for a young author. And I was told something not too long ago. It's an obscure quote. We're not sure where it comes from. I've asked my friend who it came from, and they've said they don't remember. So this is an obscure quote. Might have been their.
No, he already sold his 100th book.
Oh, he sold it already. That's good. See, I'm behind on things. That's good. The quote was, a painter says, the situation is, a painter was asking his instructor how he could create a great painting. And the instructor says to him, well, right now you've got about 20 bad paintings in you. And after you get them all out, you'll write something that is truly excellent.
I don't know where it is. I mean, I've heard something similar about like mistakes. But I don't know.
That is something that really changed my life, though, because I find myself not only critical of my previous books, but critical of my previous paragraphs in my current books. I find myself self-critical every step of the way. So that advice really brings me down to earth, and it has me saying, here's what I'm doing. And now the next step is to get it where it needs to be.
Right. I mean, like we don't want to say this. We want our first book to be like awesome. But as we write and we learn, each book should get better.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So I'm hoping.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure that they are. Well, I really enjoyed reading them on live readings. And thank you again for sending those in. They were really welcome contributions to the shows. It was fantastic. You also mentioned earlier that hearing your work read out loud really changes your perspective of it. So I'm just curious, do you have any newfound goals or aspirations since the release of this latest book?
Well, I'm writing, I've got, I don't know. I just have so many ideas. Like, I was the kid that would like draw, like doodle in your notebook, and like all of a sudden, like the classroom was aliens or something, So I have so many ideas that that are in my head that I want to like pull out, and I feel like I've had these characters. Well, in this book, the characters have been in my head for 4 years. And I just wanted like other people to like know those characters and love them the way I. But I also want to. I also promised my youngest son that I'd do a kid's book about his dog.
Excellent. I love it.
Yeah.
There's a great market for kids' books too. It's a craft that I really don't know, and something I greatly respect. So I really hope that as well.
A great artist, but I guess I'm an okay artist for a kid's book. But my daughter Zelda has autism, and she has a stuffed fox, and we were going to work on a book about her and Foxy, and her telling Foxy what it feels like. to be autistic.
Mhm.
So I thought that would be interesting. And Foxy goes everywhere. Foxy's at the grocery store. Foxy's everywhere.
I love that though, because there's nothing I love more than an adventure story. So if there's
Yeah.
a good kids character, I want them to see the world. That's great. We are running close to time. So before I ask another question, I want to ask you: do you have any specific promotions while you are here, or are there any events we can catch you at in the future, or any online?
I'm running. I'm working with a marketing group.
Mhm.
And I know we are marketing Maeve for the next 3 weeks, and then we're going to do a cover reveal for the second book in about a month. It's the Shadow Realm Chronicles, but it's Matthew.
Oh, all
Who
right.
is a character in the book, and so we're going to have like a cover reveal in
All
about a
right.
month.
Excellent.
And hopefully that book will be out in a month, or like maybe 2 months. It's ready. I just didn't want to cram two in at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The third and fourth might take a little bit longer.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait for the cover reveal. Definitely keep in touch with us and let us know when it is so we can show up and bear witness and, draw some attention to you, bring some followers your way, hopefully. What are the best ways that we can support you? Where can we follow? Where can we subscribe?
So I just started building up Instagram and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't before. I didn't really know what to do with them, like hashtags and stuff. I was learning. Actually, I learned from a couple of your posts with all the hashtags that you put.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading them, and then I started going and searching for those hashtags. And so both Twitter and Instagram are at author Nancy Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is at author Nancy Ann. Although my profile is just Nancy Ann.
Yep. Excellent. All right. So you heard it straight from the source, folks. Go check out author Nancy Ann on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. If you want to participate in that cover reveal, if you want to be there to bear witness and send in your congratulations, if you want to be first in line to get your copy, definitely follow author Nancy Ann on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so you will be the first to get the news. And if you do get the book, please leave her a review. Authors need reviews. Please do leave the reviews. Oh, I cannot ask for reviews enough. Nancy, it's been great having you here. I feel like we have a lot in common. I've learned a lot just talking with you and hearing your story.
Thanks, Sharon, for setting it up.
Was that?
We'll just have to thank Sharon for setting it up.
Oh yes, that is Sharon. Sharon is such a doll, such a great person, and I'm very happy that she hooked us in with each other, because I think that this was a great conversation to have, and I'm looking forward to lending you whatever support I can lend to you.
All right. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I know I was nervous in the beginning, but I'm not usually a camera person. I'm a writer, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. You did a fantastic job. It was great to have you here. Do you have any questions or closing remarks?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Nancy. We will see you. Definitely reach out for an interview anytime. We're booked into the end of September right now, but if you want to grab another spot on the calendar, we'll be going for all next year. So definitely let us know, and we'll pencil you back in. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
It was great to have you. You have a great night. And this, folks, was Drop a Line. Thank you so much for joining the show. We're just going to play out now with the outro video, and we will catch you on the next episode. Be safe, everybody. Bye-bye.